And we'll begin the news of this hour by telling you that the Speaker of the Cross River State House of Assembly, Elvert Ekom Ayambem, has been impeached. The Speaker was impeached on Wednesday by 17 members of the House over allegations of misappropriation of funds. The impeachment motion was moved by Effiong Ekarika, representing Calabar South 1 constituency, and seconded by Charles Omang, representing Bekwara State constituency. Ayambem was elected Speaker of the 10th Cross River State House of Assembly in June 2023. He represents Ekom 2 State constituency in the Houses of Assembly. Meanwhile, officials of the Department of the State Services and the Dragon Squad and personnel of the Nigeria Police Force have taken over the complex of the Cross River State Assembly. This was following the impeachment of the Speaker, the Assembly Speaker, Elvert Ayambem. Ayambem was impeached over alleged gross misconduct and financial misappropriation. The plot to remove the Speaker has been on and for some months, as members have been expressing displeasure with his conduct and operations of the Assembly. As of Tuesday, over 20 members had signed up for his impeachment, and the motion for his removal was moved on the floor of the House by the member representing Calabar South 1, Effiong Ekarika, and seconded by Charles Omang. And now to Edo State, where the Justice James Kolawole Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted permission to the impeached Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shuaibu, to join the Speaker of the State Assembly in his suit challenging his impeachment before the court. The judge also granted order to the former Deputy Governor to join his successor as a defendant in the suit. Justice Omotosho dismissed the objections raised against the motion on notice by the Speaker and the Deputy Governor for being frivolous and without merit. He subsequently invoked Order 17 Rule 1 of the Federal High Court and ordered that the Speaker and the Deputy Governor be joined in the suit. Away from that and moving on now to more stories, and this time to the Senate, that on Wednesday, the plenary urged the federal government to make provision for a special intervention fund for maintenance of transmission lines in the country. For over a month, the northeastern region has been in total darkness due to destroyed key towers of the power line along the Jos-Gombe route. The Senate's resolution was a sequel to a motion on the urgent need to address the vandalization of transmission lines of the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Northeast Zone, sponsored by Senator Manu Aruna and 14 other lawmakers from the zone.
I want us to go beyond restoration of electricity supply in the Northeast. We should find out the culprits, those that are responsible for the vandalization of the power line. It is considered as economic sabotage for people to go and destroy government properties, whether it is electricity power towers or rail lines, roads, infrastructure generally. And Mr. President, even if these people are caught within a very short period of time, we find them to be set free. So, to me, we are not serious as a nation. Those that are responsible for this should be punished.
Sympathize with the people of Northeast for lack of electricity for more than a month, which speaks volume of negativity in every facet of our livelihood today. But this issue, because of the importance of power in contemporary world, shouldn't be only confined or limited to Northeast. It is a general problem. And so really and truly today, without electricity, you virtually can achieve nothing.
The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps says that it has arrested about 18 suspects allegedly smuggling petrol products to Cameroon Republic. The Adamawa State Commander of the Civil Defense Corps, Ibrahim Nasara, who confirmed the arrest, says that the command intercepted about 150 cans of petrol from the suspects. He adds that the continuous illegal movement of petroleum products to neighboring countries worsens the hardship being faced by citizens and scarcity currently being witnessed in the country.
It's against the law. A product that is meant for Adamawa State populace, and they diverted it. They want to divert it to somewhere else, of which in a real situation it's not supposed to be like that. They will be remand. Those people that were arrested, they will be remanded and dealt with ruthlessly. There are about, I think, about 18 or so. So thereabouts. There are many, in fact. They are handed to us and they are in the custody of DSS. It's about 155 jerry cans, those that are on ground, filled up with PPMs. The command is working tirelessly with the collaboration with the other security agencies to see that this menace is reduced.
Another town hall meeting was held this time, or town hall series and meetings was held this time by News Central. And this time it focused and highlighted on the current issues being faced in Okwama community. I'm going to take a very good look at that. We're going to pull up the visuals of that community, of that meeting very shortly. But it was held in Okwama community where indigents shared their issues and what they went through over there. Watch as we bring you highlights from that meeting.
Events in Okwama, Delta State on March 14 continue to cast a long shadow. What began as a peacemaking mission by the Nigerian army in a land dispute turned into a deadly clash. Allegations of involvement by Okwama militants have been made, but the community strongly denies them. Facing a difficult situation, residents are desperate for answers.
Since on the 14th to date, when the people flee into the forest, there's a big suffering upon my people. There's no food to eat, no water to drink, nowhere to sleep. That is the reason why, if you check some of the paper that already, we sent to our senator and the House of Rep, the people that died in Okwama is listed there. In the forest, we lost about 15 persons in the forest because of some of them mosquito bite, snake bite, lack of no food to eat. The children, most of the children, through fever, different sickness.
I watch this shirt because nothing day. We dey inside bush, nothing to shop. Food not there. Children, they sick. We serve they sick. Our children, they suffer for hungry. Inside bush we there, we not see anything. We dey fall at this maggot tree. Now they bring maggot with the shop. So that was not the belly for us. So our people now, many of them died through away. Men and women, children, they never see some. Some see they say, but what they die will not know self. So we see they find that today, we never see them.
Reprisal attack is not accepted. If this issue was done, what we expected was an investigation into this issue. Find the culprit, bring them to book, and let them face the law.
In the aftermath, the military's response to the killings in Okwama raised concerns about excessive force. These events have sparked national outrage.
We have filed 2 suits on our side challenging the action of the military in Okwama. We are also telling the court to interpret to us if there is a law in Nigeria which states that when a soldier is killed, then the answer, the thing the government ought to do is to go and destroy the community. The matter is lying before the Federal High Court worry, and on the 4th of June, we are going to hear from the court.
I'm asking the governor of Delta State, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to see this child that I'm carrying as an example of the suffering in this land and will come there to their aid. This is a humanitarian situation. and we need everybody to come round.
News Central's town hall meeting brought together stakeholders to address the root causes of the conflict. News Central will continue to amplify the voices of Okwama community and advocate urgent humanitarian assistance.
Let's turn our focus now to security, and let's tell you that the Nigerian Senate says it will convene a national security summit in an effort to find lasting solutions to the nation's pressing insecurity challenges. The Senate, during its plenary in Abuja, says that the summit will provide a platform for heads of security agencies, governors, traditional rulers, social-cultural groups, amongst others, to deliberate and find lasting solutions to the escalating insecurity being witnessed across the country. News Central's Imano Bagudu reports.
It's the first plenary of the week, and the issue of farmers-herders clashes has once again been brought to the front burner, with Kogi State taking the center focus.
Herders invaded the Agoji Jodo, Ajopachi Jodo, Bagaji and Bagana communities, killing 21 innocent citizens, including women and children, in addition to unprecedented destruction of their farm produce. Alarmed that on 30th April 2024, gunmen attacked Ajopachi Jodo community in Omala local government area, killing no fewer than 3 persons and rendering the entire community desolate, with no health facility to cater for the deteriorating health conditions of the survivors.
Some senators expressed worry over the continuous killings being witnessed following repeated clashes between farmers and herders. They say it poses a feeling of hopelessness, as all efforts to curb the situation has failed.
If all the cattle you consume in the United Kingdom, you see them on the streets of United Kingdom or England, nobody sees these things on the road. It's only here that we can stay, and every morning herders will invade a community, kill 30 persons, touch the houses, burn their properties, displace them, and we have no solution to it.
What we owe these people goes beyond rhetoric, go beyond condemnation, go beyond 1 minute silence, go beyond crying every day. No, our tears will solve this problem.
When we deal with those who kill our people, we must be looking at the possibility, the necessity and imperative of making government, the federal government particularly, to see how to resuscitate the lives and livelihood of those who are willing to remain within the boundaries of the law.
The Senate resolved to set up an ad hoc committee comprising 1 senator from each geopolitical zone in the country to once again look at the matter holistically.
Of course, you've seen that the whole thing is actually a national menace, and everybody is very concerned across all divides in the country. So you can see the totality of the voices here are also the voices of Nigerians speaking that yes, indeed, enough is enough. We should find an end to these killings, find an end to the destruction.
The Senate observed a 1 minute silence to honor those that have lost their lives. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Still on security experts have expressed optimism of adequate reforms for Nigeria's police force in line with the 2020 Police Act and demands by Nigerians for a citizens-focused police force. Now, this was during the close-out ceremony of the Nigeria Police Reform Initiative project implemented by International Security Agency and International Alert. The project aims ensuring police reform in Nigeria sees the light of day. Amadine, we report.
It was the closeout ceremony of the Nigeria Police Reform Initiative project. The project, which was organized by International Peace-Building Organization, the International Alert, held at the police force headquarters in Abuja and sought to address concerns from the public regarding the nation's police force.
Nigerians feel that there's limited police presence across the country, but this presence itself was seen to be very, very, worse in rural communities. This time around, efforts at police reform will not just be written down, but will be implemented.
We had 2 pieces of research. The first one was on public perception and attitude of the public. about the police. And then the second one was the understanding of the police about the Police Act 2020. The objective also for this project is making sure that there's adequate sensitization around the Police Act.
While experts say the project also aligns with the current administration's renewed hope agenda, some of them are optimistic that it will catalyze reforms in line with Nigeria's 2020 Police Act.
So when we look at the manifesto of the APC, a key point of the president's contract with Nigerians was to boost public confidence in the Nigerian police force. And so that boosting of the public confidence is really the linchpin of efforts at reform.
This support is happening at a very interesting time for Nigeria. I noted not that long ago, a few weeks back, the National Assembly hosted event on very much the debate around state police. I think this work is part of that. It informs how Nigeria can develop a modern police force that is fit for the challenges of today and tomorrow.
They say they are positive that the police will be able to cascade the training earlier received by several cadres of its personnel, down to even its rank and file.
I hope that those that have received the benefit of training will one day become the trainers themselves and will share and disseminate that good practice because, as you pointed out earlier on, the Nigerian police force is a significant institution, it's large, it's complex, and there are many different corners of Nigeria that need to be reached through the works that we're doing today.
With a focus on police reforms, many will be hoping that the project bets a citizens-driven police force. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
And on to labour matters. The meeting on the ongoing negotiations on new minimum wage has been adjourned till Wednesday after the organised labour rejected a new 54,000 naira minimum wage proposed by the federal government. Tuesday's meeting came as a result of the walkout staged by members of the organised labour following the proposal of 48,000 naira as minimum wage by the federal government during last week's meeting. During that meeting, the organised private sector had also proposed 54,000 naira. The national president of Nigeria Labour Congress, Joa Jaure, insisted on 615,000 naira minimum wage, arguing that the amount was arrived at after an analysis of the current economic situation and the needs of an average Nigerian family of 6. And now to discuss this further, I'm being joined by a labour lawyer, Iroluwa Oguntuwashe. Iroluwa, many thanks for coming on. I appreciate you for doing this with us. Let's get started very quickly. What do you make of the new minimum wage offer of 54,000 naira by the federal government?
Well, I would just say that, number one, is a welcome development that both the federal government and the labor, they are even negotiating on this. Because if there's a situation of trade dispute, like we're seeing now, it is very important for the disputants to come to the negotiation table and negotiate so that there cannot be a total breakdown. So to that extent, I think I would appreciate both parties, for coming together in the interest of Nigerians to resolve this particular autonomy issue. But on a more serious note, with regards to the 54,000 being proposed by the federal government, I think one thing the federal government needs to do is to draw out parameters upon which they are making that proposal. Because if we look at what the Labour did by making a proposal of 615,000 initially, they drew out parameters upon which they are making that proposal. So if we look at it and if we consider the trajectory, the federal government had earlier made a proposal of 48,000 and they moved from there to 54,000. I think it's very important not to just, tempt the patience of Nigerians and you come out in an analytical manner as to say that we're making a proposal of 48,000. This proposal is based on this yardstick. This proposal is based on this anticipated revenue that we're going to generate. This proposal is based on this rate of inflation. This proposal is based on generally the rate of transportation, the rate of housing, everything that concerns employees in Nigeria. I think if federal government comes out like this to analyze the basis upon which they are proposing the new minimum wage, I think that would make more sense and it will be more reasonable to labor and to Nigerians, other than they are just making an open proposal. I think like as if it's just an open negotiation. I don't think that's going to work. They must be analytical and they must be very, very proactive. They must come out and lay foundation, yardstick, parameters upon which they are making the proposal. I think if they're able to do that, then the Labour should be able to reason alongside with them. But for what they are doing, I just think it's very open and it's very, very ambiguous.
I mean, like you rightfully put it there, the NLC have, they've brought out the data to sort of support their number, which is 615,000. I mean, this is going to sound very, just humor me, right, for the sake of our viewers. This current proposed figure of 54,000 naira, let's compare it to the cost of living in Nigeria. Does the government have a claim? Can they say that? Would it be? Can they claim that it will be sufficient to support a decent standard of living for workers?
That's a very intelligent question. Now, decent standard of living and dignity of labor are one of the foundations upon which International Labour Convention is premised. Unfortunately, Nigeria is one of the members and signatory to a lot of convention, under the International Labour Convention. That on one side. And I think on the other hand, we need to distinguish the side upon which labor is coming from and the side upon which federal government is coming from. There is a difference between living wage and minimum wage. That's one thing that people need to know. Now, Labour is making the proposal of 615,000 on the basis of the fact that that should be the minimum living wage. Now, living wage in its sense is the amount that employees can earn in order for them to afford what they can do. For example, their food, their clothing, their shelter, anything that is very important to them, significant to their lifestyle, in order for them to afford it, that is the amount that labor is quoting. But minimum wage is different from that. Minimum wage is regulated by Minimum Wage Act. Minimum wage is the amount that is regulated by law, in which the least amount that is payable to any employee. If you look at Section 9 of the Minimum Wage Act, it says that an employer cannot pay less than the amount of the minimum wage. So labor is coming from the aspect of a living wage, and the federal government is coming from the angle of a minimum wage. Now, analytically, the difference between the living wage and the minimum wage should not be so far apart. While it may not be impossible for labor to achieve the living wage that they're asking for, I think the proposal that the federal government is making as 54,000 minimum wage is also too far apart. So I think both parties can actually sit down and come to an amicable resolution. And in coming to an amicable resolution, both parties also need to understand, for example, on the part of labor, the living wage they are proposing may not be so reasonable, given the fact that they are using a family of six. Using a family of six in what state? Because the living wage, the amount that you need to be comfortable in Lagos, is different from the amount that you need to be comfortable in Ibadan and in some other state like that. So that analysis needs to be properly made. And the federal government should also make the analysis very well so that parties can reasonably come to a conclusion. So as far as I'm saying it right now, for me, I don't think the 615 living wage that Labour is proposing, I do not think that it is reasonable enough, because how many families are a family of six? How many families are living in Lagos? All these things need to be properly juxtaposed before Labour can also analytically arrive at an appropriate living wage.
Irelua, I'm so glad you were able to put, for one of your answers that you kept saying, going back to the table, continuous conversation. But I mean, there must be potential consequences of this continuous rejection of the federal government's, proposals by organized labor, right? The proposal of this amount. Do you see this leading to a further industrial action or strikes? Because I mean, we're at a time now that we don't need strikes.
Now, I will tell you for certain, as a labor law expert, I've never favored strike, because over time, strike has not achieved anything meaningful. If they go on strike 2 days, 3 days, or at most a week, which I don't think so, they would always come back. So, and within that period, we, the citizens, will suffer. Nigerians would have lost a lot of revenue. So I think that strike has never been an option. In lieu of strike, I've always proposed picketing. And picketing is a non-confrontational way in which citizens can actually bear their grievance in line with Chapter 4, Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution and also Section 42. So I think I would propose picketing in the event that probably the negotiation is slowing down, because picketing is a way that people will show their grievance, and that will put more pressure on the government. Don't forget that we're at a time of internet age now. So any picketing that Labour does, and probably other organized labor sectors also support them, will receive, will receive much communication, and this will spell. This will not mean good for the government in the image. Their image will be smeared in the eyes of the international community. So I think that these are the things Labour can do. Pursue picketing in lieu of industrial action, because industrial action will not achieve anything. They will go on industrial action, will lose revenue, and they will still come back. But if they picket and they flood the streets, all organized labor sectors, I think that will make more impact, positively. They can achieve their aim, while at the same time, they can equally use that to draw government to the table in order to also achieve their aim.
Iroluwa, many thanks for coming on. I appreciate you for doing this with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Iroluwa Guntuwashe, he is a Labour lawyer. We'll move away from Labour and now on to more talks about strikes, this time on education. The University of Jos branch of the Academic Staff Union of Universities in the University of Jos, North Central Nigeria, says it is ready to join all activities of the National Executive Council of the association in ensuring that education is restructured and placed on a better pedestal. News Center's Chizoba Anionwe completes this report.
At this time of the day, these lecturers at the University of Jos should be in the classroom, but instead, they are here on a peaceful protest to express their grievances over the inability of the federal government to fulfill her responsibility, especially in the education sector. With different placards bearing their thoughts, they marched from their secretariat to the Vice Chancellor's office to present their letter of protest to him. Chairman of ASU in the university had briefed journalists on this incident.
The University of Jos branch of ASU strongly aligns itself with the position of NEC arising from the NEC that took place at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, on the 11th and 12th May 2024. In giving the government a 14-day ultimatum to do the needful in order to avoid breakdown of industrial harmony.
He said government should live up to its responsibility by meeting their demands if lecturers would go back to the classrooms.
The non-payment of our EAA arrears and 3.5 months of withheld salaries already captured in the budget. The sanctity of legally constituted governing councils, review of the 2009 FGN ASU agreement, revitalization fund for public universities, and academic allowances and withheld salaries for all universities and promotion arrears.
Accepting the letter from ASU, the Vice Chancellor of the university promised to deliver same to the government.
I can assure you also that this letter that you have sent to the Vice Chancellor, University of Jos, for ultimate transmission to the federal government. I can assure you that we are going to transmit this letter verbatim.
The 14-day ultimatum given by the National Executive Committee of ASU is already counting, while students and other stakeholders wait with bated breath on what the outcome of the face-off will be, as another interruption of academic activities in Nigerian universities is an option no one will want. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anionwe.
Following the 72-hour demolition notice issued to shop owners at the Ugegi Market and Nsukka Motor Park by the Enugu State Government, 3 National and State Assemblies members have appealed to Governor Peter Mba to suspend the exercise. According to the lawmakers, the appeal became necessary due to the prevailing economic hardship in the country and Enugu State in particular. The lawmakers also urged the governor to consider compensating the affected traders and shop owners and relocating them to alternative market space and park. They lamented that over 10,000 traders, mostly women and youths, would be affected by the exercise, stressing that the demolition would undoubtedly bring untold hardship on the people. And news now continues in West Africa, where Guinean prosecutors on Wednesday began their long-awaited closing arguments in the trial of former dictator Musa Dadis Camara and 10 other former military and government officials. Deputy Prosecutor Abdoulaye Babadi Camara opened the critical juncture in the trial, which began in September 2022, by reiterating its historic nature. He recounted the charges against the 11 men, ranging from murder to sexual violence, kidnappings, arson, and looting. The trial experienced a number of delays following the prosecution's request, asking judges to reclassify the charges from ordinary crimes to crimes against humanity. Civil parties, which are victims with a standing in the case, supported the request. And now to Central Africa, where dozens of civilians have been killed so far this month in intercommunal clashes over land in Democratic Republic of the Congo. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, said aid workers are helping the injured and displaced from the deadly clashes in the northeastern province of Chopo. Since February 2023, the clashes have killed 740 civilians and displaced 75,000 people in Kashangani, the capital of Chopo. The office said an OCHA-led assessment team found that food, shelter, and health care are the most pressing needs for the displaced people. It called on all involved to work together to end the violence, protect civilians, and find a sustainable solution to the conflict in the country. And now we head to North Africa, where a rally called by the Journalists' Union takes place outside Tunis court as colonists Bahar Bassar and Murazagini go on trial. They are being prosecuted under Decree 54 for disseminating false information with the aim of defaming others or damaging their reputation. The National Union of Tunisian Journalists, SNJT, considers this decree to be an attack on freedom of expression.
الوضع الصحافة التونسية اليوم في تونس وضع متردي جدا. للأسف رجعنا لما هو أخطر مما كنا عليه قبل الثورة التونسية 2011، وأنه نلقاو اليوم 5 مواطنين توانسة صحفيين ومعلقين في السجن بسبب آرائهم وبسبب مواقفهم الناقدة للسلطة الحالية، بسبب تضامنهم حتى مع زميلهم محمد بوغلاب اللي مسجون 6 شهور.
الملاحقات القضائية تضاعفت مقارنة بالسنوات الماضية، يعني مقارنة بسنة 2000 تقرير ماي 2023 وتقرير ماي 2024 التقرير السنوي للحريات، الملاحقات تضاعفت. اليوم نتحدث عن 39 ملاحقة قضائية في سنة واحدة، فبالتالي نتحدث تقريبا عن 3 ملاحقات شهريا بالنسبة للصحفيين أمام المحاكم. ونتحدث
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has announced that a general election will take place in the United Kingdom on July 4th. Sunak made the announcement after a cabinet meeting with his top ministers at Downing Street, ending months of speculation about when he would go to the country. This will mark the first time Prime Minister Sunak faces the electorate since his appointment as leader of the Conservative Party in October 2022. This election, the third since the Brexit referendum in 2016, comes at a pivotal moment as Sunak aims to leverage improving economic indicators to win over voters grappling with rising living costs. One of Sunak's primary pledges has been to halve inflation within a year, following a peak of over 11% at the end of 2022. Political analysts speculate that Sunak, who has been trailing significantly in polls against the Labour Party, hopes the strengthened economic outlook will boost his standing.
Earlier today, I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
Norway, Ireland and Spain announced on Wednesday the decision to recognize a Palestinian state effective May 28. The decision has been met with celebration by Palestinian leaders and outrage from Israel. Prime Ministers Jonas Gahr Stone of Norway, as well as Pedro Sanchez of Spain and Simon Harris of Ireland, made the announcement in their respective capitals, expressing hope that other nations would follow their lead. In a swift reaction to the announcement, Israel has recalled its ambassadors from the three countries and condemned the move as a prize for terrorism. However, Sanchez, who has been actively seeking international support for Palestinian recognition, defended the decision. He argued that it would bolster efforts to revive the two-state solution to the Middle East conflict, which he accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of undermining with the Gaza offensive.
Territorielle avgrensningen mellom staten Palestina og staten Israel bør basere seg på grensene fra før 4. juni 1967, altså demarkasjonslinjen fra våpenhvileavtalen av 1949, med Jerusalem som delt hovedstad og med åpning for avtaler om bytte av land. Dette vi I dag deler understreker det som har vært Norges holdning I lang tid. Palestinerne har en grunnleggende selvstendig rett til en egen stat. Derfor det vårt syn at en anerkjennelse av Palestina kan styrke de moderate kreftene på palestinsk side. Det krefter som jobber fredelig for en tostatsløsning av en stat som skal leve innenfor rammene av det FN-pakten sier og relevante FN-resolusjoner trekker opp. Det noe Hamas ikke gjør. Det kan også styrke moderate krefter på israelsk side. Det kan bidra til å gi Palestina mulighet til å forhandle med Israel på likere fot, og det kan gi fremtidshåp til palestinerne.
Estamos obligados a hacer cuanto esté en nuestra mano, mandando ayuda humanitaria, como estamos haciendo, asistiendo a los refugiados y desplazados, como estamos haciendo, pero también usando todos los resortes políticos que están en nuestro alcance para decir alto y claro que no vamos a permitir que se destruya por la fuerza la posibilidad de los dos estados, que es la única solución justa y sostenible a este terrible conflicto. Por eso, señorías, quiero comunicarles que tras haber consensuado la decisión entre los dos partidos que formamos el Gobierno de coalición progresista y haciéndonos eco del sentir mayoritario del pueblo español, el próximo martes 28 de mayo, España aprobará en su Consejo de Ministros el reconocimiento al Estado de Palestina.
Last month I stood on these same steps with Prime Minister.
And in the world of sports, Cameroonians' appointment of Belgian Mark Bynes as head coach of the men's national football team was suspended by the country's top sports tribunal on Tuesday following the petition of an amateur football club. The country's sports ministry stirred controversy last month when it named 61-year-old Barnes as manager of the indomitable Lions without consulting the Football Federation, FACAFOOT. The move sparked a dispute between the sports ministry and FACAFOOT, which said the government had made a unilateral decision. In response, it asked its president, Samuel Eto'o, to propose a national coach and other management staff for the national side within 72 hours, deepening its standoff with the sports ministry. Eto'o kept Barnes as head coach, but named different assistants, technical, medical, and administrative staff. Veteran Napoli climber Kami Rita Sharpa has scaled Mount Everest for a record-breaking 30th time. The 54-year-old nicknamed Everest man reached the summit today, 3 decades after his first climb. Sharpa downplays his achievements, saying he's simply doing his job as a guide. His focus, he says, is on promoting Nepal through his expenditures. ventures. Now, this year's climbing season, however, has been marred by tragedy. A Romanian climber died nearby Lashe, and a British climber with his Napoli guide are missing on Everest, and search efforts are underway. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. DSS, police, others take over Cross River Assembly after Speaker Ayambem's impeachment. Court grants Schweib's request to join Edo Speaker, new deputy governor, in impeachment suit. And United Nations estimates that over 740 people killed in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 15 months. Remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And do make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV.